The Joe Rogan Experience.
Have you faced any opposition to this? Is there anybody that thinks this is a fruitless idea? Because I know there were people that were actually, I was very shocked. I read people that were actually happy that your project didn't work the first time. I'm like, what the fuck, man? There's people that, I think it's a young thing. Like, because you're this really hopeful, young, intelligent guy who comes up with a solution. And I think it probably, wow, does he think he's so fucking smart? Oh, fuck him. I hope it fails. And when it failed, people actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Was that, did that hurt?
No. So for me, yes, of course, since the beginning, 2013, there have been people, like relatively small group of people, but there have been people that have been opposing it. And most of them, ironically enough, are people that care about the ocean because they don't feel it's the right way to tackle the issue. And but so the way I deal with it is, and at least what I used to do in the beginning, now fortunately there aren't many new arguments anymore, but just basically write them out, every single argument, rationally analyze them, no emotions. Emotions only model your thinking in that way. And make a distinction. Okay, is this something where this person has a point? If so, great, because rather have somebody else pointing it out to me than us having to learn it in the field and having a unnecessary failure. And if the person doesn't have a point, and if it's just assumption or unfounded or whatever, then it's very easy for me to just ignore it. And then the question is, well, what motivates people to be negative? And I think there's probably 4 reasons. First of all, it's genuine skepticism whether it can be done, and I think that's healthy. And I think we've proved most of those arguments wrong now. But of course, there's still the whole scale-up thing, which we still have to do. So there's still a bit of that, but it's kind of morphing now to a few other things. I think one thing is human risk perception, which is sometimes I think is a cause of some opposition, where it's very easy for people to ignore the baseline when they look at risks. So you can, for example, say, okay, nuclear power, super risky. We shouldn't do that. But then if you compare it to the baseline of other sources of energy, that's actually probably the least risky source of energy there is. Like even solar energy causes more deaths per megawatt hour than nuclear power, because people fall off roofs. So it's really, so if you ignore the baseline and if you say, okay, doing this cleanup, we shouldn't do it because there's all these potential risks, right? Of potentially there is some sea life that may be caught. Potentially there are these moral hazards. There's all these risks, and basically best thing to do is not do it. What people then are ignoring is sort of the certain hazard of this hundreds of millions of kilos of plastic that's already in the ocean. And if you were to kind of pose the opposite question and say, okay, so if I were to go to the ocean right now and just dump the equivalent amount of plastic that we were to take out, would dump it into the ocean, would you think that's a good plan? And then, well, probably the answer is no. So I think there's a bit of this, of course what we're doing, it's new, there are risks involved, but as long as we map them well, we take things step by step, I think they're manageable. And they're definitely not risks or reasons to not do it, because, of course, the baseline is that there is already doing a lot of harm being done by the status quo. So I think that's one argument behind people's opposition. There's also a bit of what I call zero-sum game bias, where people are saying, well, you shouldn't do this because the resources would be better spent elsewhere. I saw an op-ed in Wired a few weeks ago where people were saying, well, or just one person actually was writing, where this person said, you shouldn't worry about the plastic pollution issue. You shouldn't do anything about it because climate change is the biggest issue and all our attention should go there. Plastic pollution is just a distraction. And
that's foolish.
Well, yeah, I think there's 7.5 billion people in the world, and we can do more than one thing at the same time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, should you not wash your dishes because your carpet is dirty? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Both of them are a problem. Clean both of them. This idea that you should only think about climate change. It's like, don't think about the giant Pacific garbage patch that's twice as big as Texas.
Right.
Are you fucking serious? It's a dumb argument. Both of them are important. To think about both of them are important. But a part of writing an article today is writing something that people will get upset about. That's part of it, is like generating outrage, clickbait stuff, having controversial opinions, being a contrarian. All those things are profitable today. I mean, that's a giant part of why people write articles. They don't write articles. They don't write articles to state an objective, well thought out perspective. Always. Sometimes people do, but a lot of times people make some clickbaity bullshit and they kind of twist a story and twist an idea who you are, twist it to sort of make their narrative be more compelling and sell more or click more and get more ad sales.
Yeah. I wonder whether that's in part behind sort of the growing tribalism and polarization that you see everywhere.
Social media. I mean, the fact that Facebook's algorithms, in a sense, support outrage, right? Like these things are designed to support. My friend Ari Shafir tested this, and it's really interesting because he tested it to find out what does it actually support. What it actually supports is what you're interested in. And if you're interested in being outraged, it'll show you things that outrage you. So he decided to just only YouTube puppies.
Yeah.
And that's all YouTube would show him, is puppies. He's like, no, you assholes. This is what you're into. If you're into fucking getting mad about the border and getting mad about the climate and getting mad about abortion and getting mad about whatever the fuck it is, that's what it'll show you because that's what you're interested in.
Right.
You know, my YouTube feed is mostly muscle cars and fights. Like, why? Because that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm interested. That's and occasionally science things.
Yeah.
But that's just because that's what you search for. It'll show you what you search for.
I'm sure you're somewhat happy that it shows you those things.
Yes, sure. Yeah. I don't think it's as sinister as people want to say it is. I think the issue is human nature. We are compelled to get upset about things, and I think a lot of it is people that feel disempowered in their own existence. The people that you were talking about that are stuck in cubicles and that are staring at that clock, waiting for the buzzer to ring so they can go home. Right. Those people are online. They're tweeting, they're taking a shit and tweeting, fuck this guy, this little kid thinks he's going to fix this, fucking, he ain't fixing shit. There's a lot of what's going on. There's a lot of people that are upset because it's fun to be upset when your life sucks. It's fun to shit on somebody.
Sure.
It's fun to get mad about the border when, you're living in fucking South Dakota, you're nowhere near the border. What are you worried about? What you're worried about, you're just angry. People are just angry. It's like these aren't logical discussions that people are having. They're shout-offs, and it's a natural part of human nature to get upset about stuff. And even someone who's doing something as beautiful as your perspective, or your idea, instead of just saying, "Look, this guy is doing something amazing. We need someone like this who's just as innovative and just as inspired to try to tackle this climate issue." And we need more people like him. This is amazing. Instead of that, like you're spending your resources incorrectly.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He got you, though. You're talking about it.
Yeah. Sure. And yeah, I suppose it's, from the perspective of the person who writes that, it's...
He thinks he's got a point.
Yeah. And indeed, if you're just saying what everyone else says, nobody would see your opinion. Right?
Exactly.
So,
that's a big part of it.